is really difficult for me to make these videos. Like, oh my gosh, this is my third time. Like, I'm gonna cry. That's how bad it is. But I'm just gonna try and barrel through this. I'm gonna try and talk fast so I don't lose my train of thought, so I don't like start to ramble. I just get through it, say what I need to say. God bless this video. Please help it to be the third time's the charm. Bless who it needs to bless. Help me. Help me. Be with me, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I am really not good at making videos. So if I have like recently had a bunch of content ideas, and I don't know what I want to do with my YouTube. I'm gonna do a separate video about that, but I know I definitely want to talk about my faith a lot on here. So, we'll see. I have a lot of ideas in regards to my topics on faith. So we're just gonna see how things go. But I have a really hard time with speaking to people, honestly, and making videos does not. It feels the same as like speaking to people for me. Like I get kind of flustered, and it's very difficult. And I lose my train of thought, and I get very, very just in my head probably about it too much. It's hard. So I'm sorry. I'm just gonna be like as quick as I can with this, just because I can't. If I have to record this again, it might not get posted, and I really don't think that would be good. So I'm going to read some verses here, and hopefully this will be my last time. Oh my gosh. You do not understand. So I have been going through a season of what feels like rejection. First of all, I was out of the country for a while. I came back and I've had a really hard time just in general. And the label that I feel that I could give this season of my life is like feeling rejected in multiple aspects, not just like, oh, I liked someone and they didn't like me back kind of a thing. That actually has not been, I wouldn't, it's been other aspects, and it's hard to go through that. It is extremely hard. Especially if it's coming from multiple sources, or it's like one thing after another kind of a thing. And especially if you kind of see yourself as someone who who has been through maybe a lot of rejection in the past, to where even if now you're not as rejected, that idea of yourself kind of still exists, and it just plays into your insecurities. Like, for instance, for me, I will just share, like, when it does come to love, one issue that really is hard for me is opening up and accepting, like, the idea that I suppose love is possible for me, because, this idea of, like, or not idea, this reality of myself being in school and not really experiencing too much acceptance in that regard, in like the love regard, that has caused me to be very insecure about it as an adult, to the point where like it's just not, it's difficult for me to see past that. And side note, again, I don't know what I want to do with this channel, but I write poetry, and I really, that idea, since I've been feeling so rejected, that idea of like being so like, feeling so like loveless, like you are unable to be loved due to rejection, or just, that's your insecurity, whatever the case is. to the point where like you actually cannot even accept love, and it becomes like this self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like, well, you know, you are what you become. I am working on a like spoken word about that, or possibly like a lyrical poetry on that, a lyrical poem on that concept. I think it's a really, really interesting one, that I think a lot of people can like relate to, unfortunately. And I don't know, I'm excited to like write about that, but I'm also extremely scared because that is just a vulnerability that I'm not I'm not really ready to like dive into, to be honest. But that's a side note. Let me just get into this. So through the season of rejection, this verse has been like a song stuck in my head. Like I cannot get these words out of my mind. And this comes from Matthew 21, I believe. Yes, Matthew 21. As if I'm not like looking right at it. Verse 42. Jesus said to them, "Have you never read in the scriptures, the stone the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. The Lord has done this, and it is marvelous in our eyes." I love, love, love that verse. I loved it even before I recognized how much it would kind of define this like season that I'm in right now. The stone the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. Which, just in case you don't understand what that means, I mean, I believe that you probably, if you're watching this, you probably do. But, well, this actually comes from the parable of the tenants, and I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it's just talking about the situation where of rejection, basically, and the idea that, you know, the world may reject you in some sort of way, or you may feel that it does, but it's through that rejection that God can use you, and often will, and you will become the cornerstone. It's like, it's so beautiful how it's like that insecurity that you have, you know. For me, like, I could see potentially how God could use, you know, this insecurity I have towards love, and use it like specifically for his glory. And it could be any situation really, but you know, this insecurity that you have, this place of rejection that you find yourself in, God can use that very thing to make you the cornerstone. The thing that people like regarded you as, like, you know, maybe you're in a situation where you're kind of not, you know, as far as you would like to be, and like maybe some people said behind your back, maybe some people regarded you as I don't want to say a loser, but like, you know, that kind of a thing. It's like, how are you, like, are you gonna do anything with your life kind of mentality. God can use those people, does, and will continue to use those people for his glory to to bring about, like, sorry, or bring to mind, I should say, like, the wonder of, like, you know, of him ultimately, and his power and what he can do. You know, people who, like, I've seen this with continuity, and it's all throughout this book. I'm gonna read a few other verses talking about it, but it's like, you know, people who you already have in your mind kind of like how they are, or whatever the case is, and then God uses them for like that very thing that either they felt rejected by, or other people regarded them in that way. God can and will use that thing. And that like blows my mind that um that's a thing. Like it's so beautiful. And it kind of goes along with, hopefully I can stay on one train of thought, but it goes along with this thing that I think it was Billy Graham. I'm not sure who was saying this, but they were saying that like basically one of the hardest things for God to work with is a person who has a prideful heart. That's like their big, their biggest thing. God can obviously work through any situation, use anyone, but someone who is prideful, someone who is like overly confident or whatever, they have this idea about themselves, project this image that it is very difficult for God to like say, look what I'm doing, because they already have this idea like about themselves that it's like, I did this, this was all me, blah, 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 look what I've done. Whereas in the hearts of someone who has felt rejected, God can God can use them to say, look what I'm doing, go and show others what I'm doing, that kind of a thing. So that is kind of the gist of it all, going through the season. Like, I've been through harder seasons, so I'm not like too shaken up, but it has like, I mean, I've been crying like pretty much every day this week. This has not been great. But I was reminded that Jesus went through a lot of rejection. Like, he did, and he continues to go through so much rejection. Even though he was performing these signs and miracles, like, people still like had a hard time accepting it. And realizing that, like, I'm like, okay, as long as he's with me, like, I can go through this, because on my own I can't. I've tried, and it like, I just can't. Being rejected is like one of the most, I believe, to be painful human experiences, like when we're talking emotionally. Especially when it's a situation where, like, you felt very, very, very strongly, you felt very passionately about this, and, you give your whole being to it. Maybe you're just a passionate person, and, it was love, or it was whatever the case is, and it's like, you don't, like, it actually hurts on a physical level. Like, for me, that that kind of like, when I really like feel passionate about something and it doesn't pan out how I wanted to. I mean, I guess this might be everyone. It actually hurts on a physical level for me. And it just sucks. Like, there's no way around it. Like, it sucks. And it's way different to be like rejected in that regard versus like, oh, I'm gonna take a chance on this. Oh, it didn't work out. Okay, whatever. But if it's something that you put a lot of effort and emotion and energy into, oh my gosh, like, one of the worst feelings that a human can feel is to be rejected. I think because, like, there's like multiple layers to it, but like, you feel this sense of like worth from that thing that you were trying to pursue, or maybe you were pursuing it. Maybe it was like a relationship, and then like all of a sudden the person's like, yeah, I'm out. There was a sense of worth that came from that. There was a sense of identity that you got from that. So now it's like, okay, well, now what? Like, you know, that just like took like literally a part of yourself. Or, you know, you had so much hope in a situation that now that, you know, you've been rejected from that situation, it's like, well, you know, this this was like this was like a part of me in a sense. Like, you know, I put so much effort and time into this that this was very much like, you know, a part of my life, a part of you know, on my heart, on my mind. And now what? Now this thing that I've spent all this time, all this energy that I've kind of gotten like a sense of identity from is just gone, you know. So it's really painful. It's really painful. But let me read on because I need to like not ramble. So at the end of the stone the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. The Lord has done this, and it is marvelous in our eyes. There's a footnote here. Excuse me. That points to Psalms. Oh my gosh, sorry. 118 verses 22 and 23. I'm gonna read it, but I believe it's just actually a repetition because at the beginning of the verse, Jesus said, "Have you not read? Have you not heard it said?" or something like that. So I think this is just gonna be repetition. But you know what? When I say Psalms 118, I love that repetition because it provides me such a sense of comfort. Yep, 118, what did I say, 22 and 23? The stone the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. The Lord has done this, and it is marvelous in our eyes. This theme is so prevalent throughout this book that it's like, again, it's like a sense of comfort. Like, I can't help but like not feel like there has to be some truth to it. As far as like if you feel rejected, that is where God can use you the most. And this video is getting kind of long, so I'm gonna try and wrap it up. But I kind of had this thought, and I'm gonna do a video on identities, like versus kind of Christianity. And I had this thought. It's gonna play into that, but I'll share the gist of it now. That it was like, you know, there are people I know, like, you know, when you feel rejected or depressed or something like that, one of the greatest issues with it is you feel like the only person in the world who has gone through this thing. You feel so alone, like it has just that effect on you. And Lord help me out here. That's just simply not true, you know. There are tons of other, I mean, everyone to a degree has gone through some sort of rejection. And oh shoot, yeah. I'm losing. Oh yeah, the thought was, see, I told you this is really difficult for me. I need to like write down my points, but I think like people who kind of constantly feel that way, like, you know, feeling like you never quite fit into this group or this clique in school, or you know, you're interested in this and that and this and that, and you know, you can't quite like have this sense of community because like, you know, you're interested in this, but then like there's this over here, and so it's just, I don't know if that like makes any sense at all, but like I know for me, like that's been kind of my existence, is that like I'm interested in so much that it's like there's just really been no community that can like make me feel super like comfortable and it's like where I belong, because it's like I just feel this feeling of like, you know, not fitting in. regardless of, you know, what the community is, what the label is. And it's not because like so much that other people have like rejected me and said like, oh yeah, you can't be a part of this or something like that, but it's just like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's just been one of those things that I've noticed as a pattern in my life. Like I've just always had a really hard time with like being like, if you know anything about Tumblr, and there's like these aesthetics, you know, dark academia, light academia, cottage core, grandma core, goblin core, all this stuff. And some days I'm feeling very dark academia. I'm feeling like, yeah, I love this aesthetic. I love like, you know, reading and learning and all this stuff. And some days I'm feeling very cottage core, and I just want to like dream of like domestic bliss and like, you know, bake pies all day or something like that, and you know, spend a lot of time in nature. And it's just like, it sounds so silly, but like realizing that I didn't quite fit into either one, because like my interest was very much in both like camps, amongst like a million other things. Those are just the two that like I think are the most prevalent on there. I find myself just not really feeling I don't want to say accepted, but just not feeling quite like I just, you know, like there is like this sense of rejection that it's not right. And it sucks. And I'm going to start talking way too much about that. So I'm going to stop. I will talk about that in another video. But people who feel that way, I know I'm not the only one. People who feel that way, there's just no real place where they kind of belong. They've been like rejected, or just don't quite feel accepted or at home in one identity, one community, whatever. I believe that that is like, honestly, God trying to get a hold of you. Like, I know that might sound like such a stretch or something like that, but I'm going to talk about this briefly. I'll mention it again in this other video about identities, but no other community, actually, no, I'm sorry. It's not even community, because even though, like, I'm a Christian, and there may be this idea that, like, you know, I fit into this community or that community, Catholic Church, whatever the case is, whatever denomination, it's like, no, it's not quite that simple, because people in the church, outside of the church, are complex, and it's just not going to be that, like, that simple, like, you know, I am rambling, I'm straight up rambling, but it's not going to be that simple, like, oh, like, you're a Christian, okay, so you fit into this category, you know, it's still not like that. But it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter that, like, even within the community, there are times and people and denominations, definitely, that still can bring about for me those feelings of rejection. Doesn't matter, because, like, through my faith, I have been reaffirmed, justified, and I feel like that sense of community that I was looking for has come about just like strictly through my faith, just spending time with God, which is really beautiful, honestly, because it's like the first time I feel like I belong, the first time I don't have to look at this identity, I don't have to look at like being a part of this religion or this denomination, or, you know, anything. Like, it has reaffirmed me on its own. And I believe that if I had felt those feelings from some sort of group, those feelings of acceptance and not being rejected, I would not have found my faith, honestly, because it would have been like I would have been like fine, like, you know what I mean, like I wouldn't have needed to seek anything else to calm my soul, to help me out on like on a spiritual level, because I would have found it through, you know, this religion, that religion, whatever the case is. I feel like, again, I'm rambling, but people who have constantly been rejected, or feel like they've been rejected, or just don't feel accepted, God is using you. That is where, it sounds crazy, but that is, like, to me, total proof of, like, the fingerprints of God. And he is setting you apart because you are so significant that whatever he's going to use you for, it's going to be bigger than whatever little sense of, like, fulfillment or community that you could feel by being a part of this or that. I'm not saying that those things don't have their place. They obviously do. But if that is your feeling, if that is your reality, that you've been rejected time and time again, or felt like you have, or just not really accepted, God can and will use that. I'm gonna wrap this up because I really gotta pee. But as I was practicing what I was gonna say, or trying my best to anyways, a verse came to mind, which it wasn't like I knew what this verse was about, so it was like, oh my gosh, like, you really do talk. You really do talk. It was Matthew 2, and it was actually verse 4 through 8, but I read through it and one verse stood out to me, and it's verse 6. And I didn't know what this said, so I had to, like, read it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Because, again, the theme of rejection and those who are the least than, that theme is super, super common throughout the Bible, mentioned so many times. But this is beautiful because this just randomly came to me. So it says, in verse 6 here, chapter 2 in Matthew, "But you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah. For out of you will come a ruler who will shepherd my people Israel." There it is again. God using something that looks like rejection, looks like it could be rejection, or just, you know, trying to hold your hand and say, like, I know that might be how you perceive the situation, but it's not true. Let me make a promise to you. Here it is again. And there's actually a footnote here, so I'm gonna read that verse. So let's see here. It's Micah 5, 2 through 4. Did I already read this? Probably through all the times I've tried to, like, post this. I, like, am remembering that. So Micah 5, 2 through 4. "But you, Bethlehem, Ephrath," I hope I said that right, "though you are small among the clans of Judah, out of you will come for me one who will be the ruler over Israel." And then 4 is, "He will stand and shepherd his flock in the strength of the Lord, in the majesty of the name of the Lord his God, and he will live securely, for then his greatness will reach to the ends of the earth." There it is again, you know. And it actually reminds me, I cannot remember where this is found. I want to say it's in Timothy, but I don't remember if it's 1 or 2. It's talking about don't let anyone, actually, you know what, I might have highlighted it, so let me just try and find it really quick. Oh my gosh, where's Timothy? But God, time and time again, talks about this rejection, and it is so incredibly, like, where's Timothy? Anyone know? Goodness gracious. Uh, he mentions this again and again because he knows what it's like. He was here. Okay, this is Second Timothy. He was here. I love that verse. On earth, experiencing the feelings of rejection, so he knows what it's like, but he's got something for you. And so if you feel that way, just know that things won't always be like this. But you have to like pray. You have to like focus on him. Your perception of the reality, or I should say, maybe your reality is not, you know, what he promised. And it's not, if you are feeling like rejected or any really negative thing like that, that is not the reality he wants for you. So there is more, but you absolutely have to like pray, and you have to, excuse me, goodness gracious, sorry, you have to seek him, and you have to do it even when you are in this season, like right now where I'm at. You have to do it because otherwise you're never going to probably get the blessing. I can't say you won't get the blessing, but you won't be able to hear him when he says to you, I that promise. Like every single time it's the rejection is mentioned in those verses, there's like a promise that follows, and it's like, this is gonna be you. You know, when it was Abraham with his the issue with like not having kids, not having a son, it was like, oh no, you are, if you listen to me, you can have as many descendants as the stars in the heavens, as many as the sand on the shore. But you have to listen to me, and you have to like have faith. And if you don't have that, then you know, you're gonna kind of continue in feeling rejected, if you let the reality of the situation dictate your faith. I wanted to say so much more, but maybe this is all it was supposed to be. It is already like 30 minutes, so that's kind of long. But that is all I have to say for right now, because I really gotta pee. But I hope this helps someone, and God bless you.